So as you're continuing the Muslim world video and notes, this particular video, or part one and part two of this video, is going to be covering the arrival of the Delhi Sultanate in the Mughal Empire in India. So this is where you should be getting notes that are right down more toward the bottom. We're going to in the color other than black. Looking at and I'll be following along with a slide show with some notes here about the emergence of the Delhi Sultanate, the Sikhs and the Hindus and the Muslims interact in India. We're going to take a look at. I need to reverse this. We're going to take a look at the Delhi Sultanate and Mughal India in this particular video, explaining how the Muslim and Hindu civilizations interacted in India and describe the historical origins and central ideas of Sikhism. So, if we're looking at these particular ideas and how the Muslims ended up, interacting with the Hindus in India during a little later on during this particular time period, but as we're looking at it, so I'm going to take myself off this camera and talk about the meeting of Islam and Hindu. Rival princes fought for control. This, so you should be getting these in your notes on the Muslim document note sheet. Rival princes fought for control of India after about 550, and by the 1100s controlled all of northern India. So a sultan or Muslim ruler established Delhi as the capital, which was ruled from about 1206 to 1526. I'll show a map in a moment that shows that. Muslim attacks included like onslaughts that killed many Hindus, so they had a long-standing rivalry with each other, and destroyed Buddhist temples. So let's take a quick look, and we won't go as extensive as we went into, let's say, Sunni and Shiite, but let's take a quick look at Islam versus Hinduism. So in Islam, of course, you had the belief in one God, or Allah. Hinduism, here's the problem, as they're fighting in India, is polytheistic, or more than one God. Islam promoting social equality. Remember, we talked about the idea of social mobility in the golden age of the Muslim world, and people could move up. In Hinduism, it's a very strict caste system. You are born into a certain caste, and that's where you are going to stay in that caste. You're not going to be able to come out of that caste. Like if you're an untouchable or servant or peasant, you have to be reborn, and hopefully you can, if you're good in that life, you can be reborn into another life. I we don't have extensive time to get into Hinduism. I wish we did, but we don't. So looking at Hinduism, they have a rigid caste. You're born into your caste. It's kind of like feudalism. You're born a peasant, you stay a peasant. But Islam is a little more progressive in terms of social mobility. The Quran being a sacred text, the Hinduism recognizing many sacred texts. So this is a look at based on what we see. This is a look at Delhi and where the originally the Mughals had. Excuse me. Let me go back here. Where originally the Sultan or Muslim ruler established Delhi as the capital. And onslaughts that killed these Hindus. The Sultan of this empire was around 550, and this is where Delhi was, and then they would eventually try to expand southward. They started in this area, or Delhi, and then they started expanding southward. So Sikhism started to emerge a little later on, as we talk about in the late 1400s. Yet another religion starts to emerge, like Guru Nanak founding the religion of Sikhism. Very interesting. It's like a combination of Muslim and Hindu ideas as they're fighting for control in India, preaching the idea of one God for all humanity. The Sikhs wore very distinctive clothing that included what could be called the 5 Ks, the 5 Sikh articles of faith. We can take a look at these. The Sikhs do not cut their hair or their beard. The kanga, or comb, to keep their hair in place. The kirpan, or sword, the significance is to defend the faith, the poor, the helpless. The kashara, the baggy shorts that the Sikhs used to wear into battle, and then the kara, steel wristband, reminding the Sikhs that there's one God without beginning or end, and the Punjabi hat that they wore. So I have a brief video that I'd like to play on the Sikhs. So I'm gonna put that up. What is Sikhism? So let's play that Let's play that right now.
My name is Harjit Singh. I work for the Australian Sikh Heritage Association. The word Sikh means a learner, and Sikhs have been around for the last 500 years or so. Guru Nanak was our first master, our guru, and came down in India, in the land of Punjab, and that's where most Sikhs are from. Punjab, it's 2 words. It's where the word punch comes from. Punch stands for 5 ingredients, and punj is the word that the British picked up when they were in India for 5. And so Ab means water. So Punjab is the land of 5 rivers. Sikhs believe in 3 principles. The first principle is Nam Japana, which is to meditate and to remember that oneness, that Ikonkar in all creation. The second principle is Kirtagani, to earn your living through honest means. And the third principle is Vandachakana, which is to share your wealth with others. Did you know every Australian soldier on parade wearing a slouch hat wears a turban on top of their slouch hat? That 7-banded cloth that goes around their slouch hat actually is called a puggaree. Now, if you ask an Australian soldier, they'll know what a puggaree is, but what they might not know is where that word comes from. That word means turban in my language, Punjabi or Hindi. So this thing wearing on my head is actually called a puggaree. The quickest way to know if someone is a Sikh is to look at their last name. So if you ever meet a Mr. Singh, Singh stands for lion, and Kaur stands for princess, and that's for Sikh women. They get the last name Kaur. So it's a group of people of lions and princesses, and that's what Sikhs are.
So continuing to look at, we talked about the Sikhs and their emergence in India. The Mughals, after the Delhi Sultanate began to emerge, Babur, leading the Turkish and Mongol armies, in defeat of the Delhi Sultanate, establishing what's called the Mughal dynasty in 1526. The Mughal dynasty would last until the British take over in 1857, and it includes much of the Indian subcontinent. One of the things that I'm gonna eliminate myself at this point. One of the things that the Mughals are known for is establishing a strong central government under Akbar the Great, Babur's grandson. This was a bureaucracy, and they modernized the army, encouraged international trade, and this really helped them grow to their greatest extent. If you would watch. And one of the things they're most famous for is the establishment of the Taj Mahal under the Mughal Empire. If you watch, I'm going to attach another video. If you watch this particular video, it's gonna too much shadowing. It talks about how the Taj Mahal was established. I want to show you a little bit of a view of the Taj Mahal. It was established by Shah Jahan and his first wife who died in childbirth. Show you a little bit on the video. If you want to watch that video, it gives a little bit more background. This particular video right here gives a little bit more background on Shah Jahan and his wife and the backstory. It's about 3 minutes long. The other thing is to look at the inside view of the Taj Mahal. And I'm going to show that quickly here in this video. So this gives a little bit of a view of the inside of the Taj Mahal. And the Taj Mahal was established after Akbar's death. Nur Jahan manages his wife manages the government skillfully, and one of the most powerful Indian women in Indian history until the 20th century. The height of Mughal art, literature, and architecture came during the reign of Shah Jahan, Akbar's grandson, as a tribute to his first wife who died in childbirth. The Taj Mahal is built as a monument to his wife, and that is a long-standing wonder of the world, and this monument that shows the greatness of the Mughal dynasty and the Mughal Empire. So that in short covers a little bit on the explanation for how these the Muslims and the Hindus come to have an intersection, so to speak, in the Indian subcontinent during the 1500s to the 1800s.